In this video, I'll show you how to make a series of targeted adjustments in Camera Raw. Double-click this thumbnail of Venice to open it in Camera Raw. Up until now, you've been making global adjustments that affect the entire image. Now you'll learn to use some of the tools on this toolbar to affect part of the image, or to use part of the image to make a global effect. Let's begin by using the white balance tool. Click on a white surface such as the top of this boat to set the white balance for the image. Unfortunately, this particular surface has a blue cast, as you can see from the image. It's shifted into the blue part of the spectrum. Let's try another white. How about this building in the distance? I'll click on it. It's still a bit blue. Let's try the white of this vaporetto. That's much better. So we found a point which has a pure white that we can use to balance out the color casts in this image. Next, let's try the spot removal tool. You can adjust the size with this slider, and you can go into heal or clone mode. Heal mode keeps the original luminance and heals that with the targeted location. Clone mode copies the pixels from one place to the other. You'll usually get the best results with heal. The key is to adjust the circle to the size of the spot that you wish to remove. In this example, I'll remove this antenna on top of this building right here. I'll click once, and that creates a red circle that's connected to a green one. We're using the green circle as the source for this healing operation, so it's copying the luminance values from this location and putting them in here. You can adjust the size of the circles interactively, and of course you can adjust the location as well. Down here you can uncheck Show Overlay so that those circles aren't in the way. The red eye removal tool is obviously useful for eyes, but it's also useful for removing red lights. I'll drag over this light here on this vaporetto, and it's automatically removed of that red hue. And you can see this better if you uncheck Show Overlay. The adjustment brush works by painting. So for example, I'll paint over this image, over the water. And you could do this very carefully, but for the sake of this demonstration, I'm just going to make a quick painted area. You can adjust the size of your brush. You can release the mouse button and paint in different non-contiguous areas. It's just like the paintbrush in Photoshop. The difference is what the paintbrush does. So over here I can now adjust the exposure of this area, make it darker, make it lighter. In this case, I think what I would like to do is adjust the color temperature and make it a little bit more blue, and perhaps a little darker. If you position the cursor over this pin, you can see the area that you've painted. The graduated filter works like the gradient tool in Photoshop. You drag out a linear gradient. I'd like to cover up the sky with this gradient, so I'll drag down and hold the Shift key down so that the gradient runs vertically. After you do that, you can then adjust the position of these circles. And the way that this works is whatever you choose to do over here starts at the green circle, and then its effect fades out in a linear fashion towards the red circle. So up here I want to introduce a blue color cast and make it darker by bringing the exposure down a bit. This makes for a more interesting sky than a purely white sky. The radial filter works like this. You can make an ellipse and then rotate it and resize it as you need, reposition it, and then choose what you want to do. In this case, I don't want any color shift in temperature. I'll make it brighter just a bit and increase the clarity so it appears sharper. I'll turn off the overlay. Let's see what that looks like before and after. What this will do is draw your attention to this vaporetto. It makes for a more dynamic image. Next, let's try this tool here, the Targeted Adjustment tool. In parametric curve mode, it automatically switches to the parametric tab of the tone curve page. Then position the cursor over the sky and drag, left or right. Look at what's happening. I'm changing the highlights here. I can make the sky darker, for example, by dragging to the left. If I position the cursor over a darker surface and drag, I'll be shifting that part of the histogram. In this case, it's the darks. This drop-down list allows you to do several different things. Try hue. It automatically switches to the HSL grayscale tab. And as you drag over, say, the sky, it's going to adjust those colors, which in this case are blues and aquas. And I can shift the hue. I'll shift it more into the cyan area by dragging to the left. You can also affect saturation and luminance, either by clicking these tabs or by selecting the options in this drop-down list. I can make these more saturated by dragging to the right. I can make this building here more saturated, and it shifts the reds and the oranges. And you can also affect luminance. That is how bright or dark specific colors are. So I can make the sky brighter by dragging to the right, and it shifts the blues and aquas as I do so. So there you have it. There are many different ways of making targeted adjustments in Camera Raw.